Hello everyone, and welcome to The Crown. This is Jordana Raffia. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I apologize if you can hear the humming in the background, but good day, good morning, good afternoon, smooth 7, happy week, grand rising, whatever you guys are saying or using this, hey, just be happy that, eyes are open, air's coming through your lungs, blood is going through your veins, and just, look to the Most High in you and be thankful that you are a spiritual being who is still going through human experience in this vessel that we're in right now. And these things called human beings. And today I'm going to switch it up just a tad bit from targeting and gang stalking. And you guys, if you've listened to my show over the past several months, maybe a couple of years, I've been, explaining and giving references to a lot of the different aspects of what I'm experiencing as a TI. And I'm, going to start transitioning that energy just a little bit and getting back to, and actually it's all about the crown. It's all about love. It's all about connecting to the collective and being of one mind, one heart, one soul, and that is source, which I call the Most High. You can call it whatever you want to. You can call it God, a higher being, higher intelligence, whatever is above that, and that is all-consuming love. That is what the crown is. And this is Jordana. I am the goddess of divine light, daughter of infinite love, child of the Most High. And welcome into the crown. If you've never heard the crown before, you can hear my archive shows over on Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com. I have about 100 or so shows over there that are archived. Just to see if this is your flavor. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I'm not going to be everybody's salt shaker. I'm not. It's just is what it is. I fine-tune my ideas and beliefs over the years, and I should. And that's what you do when you grow and you learn. When you know better, you do better. I believe that's what Grandmama used to say. When you know better, you do better. And, as you grow older, you put away those childish things. That childish and childlike are two different things. Let's just be clear about that. You should still have your childlike inner joy to be able to enjoy yourself. Being immature and childish is something completely different. So that'll be a whole nother show. But yeah, so if I am your cup of tea, go over there, check out the archive shows. I am on social media right now, Instagram, Patreon, Stage 32, and Substack. And Substack is where you'll find most of the stuff for targeting, gang stalking, what that is, where it came from, the ideas of different people who have experienced it other than me. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Look it up. See if it's something that resonates in your part of the world. But there are hundreds of thousands of individuals that are going through that, and I'll be coming back with more information on that. But today, I don't know. I don't want this to be funny. It might be a little bit light-hearted. It's not a joke, but we're going to try to have a little fun with it as well. But I want to do an energy check-in today on labeling someone as crazy. And I know, we throw that word around like we do, I don't know, I love you. Most people say it, but they really don't know what they're saying. Confirmation. Most people label a lot of people, groups, individuals, personal, private, family member. I guess it really doesn't matter where you're using the term, but you really need to be careful. And shout out to Mental Health Month. I believe I missed that whole month, but shout out to Mental Health Month, and I really had intended on doing this particular show around that time. Unfortunately, it was some crazy stuff happening in my life. And I'm going to explain that because I am so careful about who I call friend. That's a whole nother show. I am careful about who I give my love to. A family member of mine mentioned to me not too long ago, just a few weeks ago, and we were having a conversation, and I was talking to them about, just general about relationships. And what she said was, love is a choice. And I thought about that. I was like, you know what? That's true. I had to think about it for a couple of days. But I'm going to more than likely end up doing an entire show just about that. If you agree or disagree, like I said, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Substack, Patreon, whatever the case may be, check me out when I post that show. I want to get you guys' thoughts about that. Love is a choice. You can like someone, and that's hard to do. Love, anybody can walk up to you and say they love you. I love you. Whether they mean it or not. It could be a different agenda. It could be because they're on something else, because they want something from you. I don't know. But real love is difficult. And if you just give it away, like, okay, I'm going to dedicate my life to giving my innermost thoughts and feelings to this person voluntarily. They're not forcing me. They're not, I'm no way manipulated. I'm in no way, coerced or whatever. I am going to make a sound decision to love this person. I think it's interesting. But today, the energy check is on crazy. And if you hear my fans in the background, that's the garbage men. They, like to tune in when my show is on. My other fans, they're out there too. If you hear the humming in the background, that's my fan, because it's hot in this little place I call my office/studio. So if you hear, different sounds, banging, slamming, my fans, they never disappoint. They always show up to listen to the show. As a matter of fact, they never go away. But yeah, so if you hear that, my apologies. The show must go on. So yeah, the energy check I want to do today is on, that quote unquote word crazy. It's a label, from what I understand, an adjective that describes somebody's, maybe their actions, their behavior, their mindset, maybe even their mental capacity. I don't know. I didn't go that deep. I didn't look into the origin of the word, if it's really even a word. Is it slang? Did somebody make it up? Did it come from something else? I remember crazy straws. I might be dating myself, y'all. I remember crazy straws back in the day, and I believe the reason why they called them crazy straws because they weren't like regular straws, right? They were crazy straws. They were twisted and turned and bent, and it kind of looked weird when your liquid came through, when you consume the liquid of whatever you were using the straw for. It would follow the twists and the turns and the ups and the downs and the backs and the forths, and it wasn't a quote unquote normal straw, right? I don't know. I'm just using that as an example. I think I dated myself. But anyway, with that being said, using that word, I don't believe, and I think some people do, I'm not saying everybody, but most individuals that even have a word in their particular environment, whatever country you're in, wherever you are on the globe, if you have a word in your particular language, environment, culture that describes someone who is out of the ordinary, out of the ordinary, right? Someone who you may label as mentally incapable. Mentally, they're different, right? And I'm using those words on purpose because what is different, what is normal, what is incapable? what do those words mean? So you have to be careful when you use a word that describes someone that does not behave or sound or act or have a particular characteristic that is something you've never seen or heard before. We look at some things back in time, 1900s, 1800s, even some of the punishment tactics. I won't call them, the T word, but some of the punishments and I don't even know what you want to call them. I guess if you were a criminal and you committed a particular crime, there were particular types of torture tactics. I guess I don't know what else to call it. That if you look back in the day, and just look up, medieval torture chambers, that type of thing, and look at some of the things that these individuals did to particular quote-unquote criminals or people that they thought were different, and what happened to them. Anybody that they thought were different, that behaved in a way that either frightened them, confused them, or did not line up with the status quo, whatever that is, they didn't exhibit a behavior that was approved. And I'm really choosing my words carefully, even though I don't know, I may go back and change some of the words, because this is just like an energy check, because why this word, Dordana? Well, I've been labeled as crazy. And I know a lot of people have. I'm not the only one. But when it hits your doorstep, you're like, wait a minute, what does that mean? Like, and for me, I thought it was funny, but then I thought about it. I'm like, the way that you can use that word can actually be a weapon. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but let me pan this out. So medievally, there were behaviors. Let's jump. I'm going to jump all over the place, but let me jump to the Salem witch trials. Remember? If anybody, I'm sure you've seen a movie, or you've read a book, or you've seen articles or documentaries, or whatever the case might be. There's plenty of history out there on the Salem witch trials, but witch trials in general. I think the Salem witch trials probably were the most popular, but because these particular individuals may have had abilities, and I'm just going to put quotes around abilities, whatever those abilities were. Maybe they were psychic, the thing that, around the world right now, people are getting paid millions of dollars to do. Millions and millions of dollars. Some not getting paid so much, but they still have the abilities. And then some choose to use their quote-unquote abilities for good, right? So you're a regular female, and most females on the planet, because I keep saying most, you guys, I can't label everyone the same way. There's no way you can label everybody the same way based on their behavior. That's not possible. That's just, I'm gonna use another word that I don't like, and that's stupid. I don't like that word, but sometimes it just calls for it. That's just stupid. But if you are a female, back during those times, whatever those medieval or, those particular ancient times, or maybe not so ancient, you're just an intuitive female, and you said, you know what, John, maybe you shouldn't take the horse and buggy out today. those wheels just, I don't know. Maybe you should check the wheels before you take the wagon out with the your poppycock. And so John didn't listen to Martha, and he took the wagon out, and the wheel came off. And so John comes back, and you know what, Martha? You were right. The wheel came off, right? Just something simple. Like I said, I'm gonna be light with this, but it's really not jokey. It's not funny, but I kind of want to keep it on the light side for a moment. But so he comes on. How did you know that? How did you know that? I don't know. I just felt it, Emma. John, I think we're gonna have a baby soon, and it's gonna be a little boy. We're gonna name him Nathaniel. I don't know. And lo and behold, she has a baby, and it's a boy. She named him Nathaniel. How did you know that? So now John is kind of scared of his wife. He's a little bit scared. He like, you're saying things and it's happening. That's not right. You shouldn't do. Now, based on maybe whatever their beliefs are. Because now remember, our belief system came from somewhere. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Whether you believe in a higher power or not, whether you believe that you are something other than your flesh and blood or not, whether you believe that you continue on in this world even after you pass on or not, whether you believe in a Jesus or not, doesn't really matter, because there were histories and times before our present day right now. Things happened that people just didn't have enough. They had enough. They had what they needed back then, based on their belief, based on what they knew, based on what was going on in their part of the world. They behaved accordingly. If the sun came up, maybe the sun was their particular quote-unquote God. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a historian. I don't know. What I'm saying is that at that particular time, could someone mistake a particular vehicle, unidentified something in the sky, as a dragon? Is that possible? I don't mean to sound like the History Channel, but historians seem to think so. They think that they could have seen something that spit fire in the sky, and maybe they had a word for a giant bird or dinosaur that spit fire. Okay, I'm just using that as an example. But back to, this intuitive female. She has a really good gut, as you can say. She's really in tune with her gut. And I'm saying females right now, not that men can't be intuitive, but most females on the planet have it. They just don't know it. That was me. I didn't know what to call this thing. It's called intuition. Most people have it. But females in particular, doesn't matter your color, shape, size, nationality, culture, you're one way or another. That's irrelevant at this point. But most women, if they follow their gut, usually they're right. That's not magic. That's just who we are as spiritual beings. It's not hoodoo, whatever you want to call it, booga booga, huggity buggity, abracadabra. Yeah, that's not what this is. Magic is magic. Spiritual is spiritual. Miracles are miracles. So those are three different things, but we all have something that let's just keep it real simple. If you know a crime is a crime, right? You're going to move a certain way based on the fact of whether you know it's a crime or not. That's how court systems base their judgment pretty much. Not altogether, but pretty much. They said, did you know that you were doing something wrong? Well, you could say, well, my gut was telling me, but I really didn't know. So should we label you mentally incapable, that you are not aware? Nothing in your gut, in your intuition. And there are certain things that criminals do when they know they're doing something wrong. They hide, number one. That's number one on the list. I don't want to be recognized. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want nobody to see my face. I'm going to cover up my face. I'm going to hide. I'm going to try to take the camera out. We've all seen this on TikTok. I'm not saying anything brilliant. I'm going to try to take your camera out. I'm going to try to hide myself behind what does this have to do with crazy, Jordana? Because when you label someone as crazy, that means that you believe that this person is doing something that they are not aware could be misconstrued as detrimental to society. Let me see if I can say it a different way. Well, I'm going to try to say it again. When you label someone as crazy, right, you are saying to yourself, this person is displaying a behavior that could be detrimental, dangerous, or otherwise harmful to not only themselves, but to society, whatever that means. And now are there levels of crazy? I mean, we can. I don't know. I some people are more crazy than others, probably. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go there. But just the label of crazy based on a feeling. Because nobody, unless you have been locked up and certified, nobody can really tell what crazy looks like, right? Not really. You can see somebody streaking across a sports field, to win a bet or something. You'd be like, oh my goodness, that person is crazy, right? They're either crazy or they're desperate for money. One of the two. They could be crazy. Both could be true. Both could be true. He's crazy and he's desperate for money. But what crazy because a normal person wouldn't do that? Probably. Based on our society and what we're doing right now as a people, right? Based on that, this person could be, what were you thinking? Is it necessarily crazy, or was it just, look, this guy betted me $1,000, I wouldn't do it. I got 2 kids at home to feed. And when it comes to parents, I don't know, I'm not a parent, but I think that most parents would do anything for their children. They would do something real crazy, quote unquote, for their children. If it was to put food on the table, if you had an ill child, most parents, not all, but most parents would do something real crazy or endure some type of hardship for their child. I think most, if I was a parent, I think I would probably be in that category. I would, to save their life, or make sure that they are somewhere where their lives can be saved, put it that way. So does that make a person crazy? So back to our females and the witch trials and so on and so forth in history. Like I said, I'm not saying anything brilliant, but there was a lack of knowledge, ignorance. There's another word, ignorance. There was and ignorance just means not knowing. There's not enough information for me to call this something else. I don't have the information. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the education. I don't have the education to say maybe this could be something, confirmation, that makes this person unique. Did they have the wherewithal to do that? Probably some people did, but if they're going along with the crowd, they're scared. They're afraid. Well, if I'm the only one saying that this person, leave them alone. They're just, that's my auntie, or that's my sister, or that's my niece. She's okay. She just sees things a little differently than we do. Don't like just banish her from the community and the village because she kind of understands how nature works, right? Don't do that. Let's just kind of imagine how life could have advanced for families, for men, and for children. Because as women, we do all of that and then some. Let's just keep it 100. If you can, as they say back in the day, I like using old school phrases, but are you picking up what I'm putting down? Because, that's women as a whole throughout history. But they didn't have the education. They didn't have the wherewithal. They didn't have the spiritual knowledge. They didn't have the higher power understanding, right? If you were tapping into your inner knowing back then, in quote unquote those particular times, it was considered heresy, right? Punishable for most women by unaliving. Whether it was set on fire, that was crazy. I'm sorry, what? But again, go back and look at some of the quote unquote punishments that they gave these women. Being set aflame was mild compared to a lot of the other punishments. And I think there are forms of those punishments that have carried over for women, certain groups of women, even to present day. Not setting anybody aflame. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about spiritually, energetically. I think women are still under attack. But if you just look at how, if they were not, punished in that way, if they were buried in the ground, there were certain things that were done to make sure. If this person happens, if they're a quote unquote witch, and you have to understand the history of that word, where it came from, if you understand the Egyptian gods and goddesses and Sekhmet, and a lot of that particular type of pantheon, that's kind of sort of carried on throughout history based on beliefs. Again, it's a belief system and a cultural thing wherever you came from on the globe in your particular culture. So there's a history of why people were labeled witches and where that particular knowledge and information came from. But it was wild for me to see, number one, what was done to these women, these intuitive women that had a spiritual understanding just based on how nature worked and in connection to how they moved with the Most High. Most of these women intuitively were good. Not all of them, but most of these women were good women. They had children, they had husbands, they had farms, and they, cared for their family, so on and so forth. And a lot of them were pushed to the point of what could be labeled as evil. A lot of them were pushed to the point they say, well, you know what? I seem to get more respect if I'm quote unquote crazy than I do if I'm trying to save the life of not just my family, but the community, right? And I can almost feel some of these women like, what do I do? Do I deny the God that I serve? Now, understand, let me be real clear. Not all of these women are hearing from God. Because like I said, if you are pushed to the point where you no longer hear the voice of the Most High and you're doing things that will get you placed in a punishment type of situation, and that's no longer that's no longer the situation. That's something completely different. So we're still talking about crazy. We're still talking about behavior. We're still talking about how someone perceives you to be, and then they label you that. And not only do they label you that, they tell other people that are also ignorant. So you're spreading information about someone you barely know based on how you perceive them. You don't have a deep knowledge. Even if you're a psychologist or psychiatrist, you still don't have a deep knowledge of how spirituality works in someone else. You just don't. There's no way that somebody can tell your story correctly without you being involved in it. So unless you've been given some type of a substance that puts you in an altered state of mind, so on and so forth. And again, that's a different show. But we're talking about individuals who just randomly, oh my God, that person is crazy. And we've all heard it. It's not, like, again, I'm not saying anything brilliant or spectacular. We've all heard, oh my God, this guy, I've said it. Let's just keep it 100%, 1,000%. I've said it. Oh my God, that is, even in just casual conversation, that's crazy. So I'm looking at somebody's behavior, or I could be looking at what somebody's saying. I could be listening to lyrics of a song. It doesn't really matter. I could be listening to just in passing, just random conversation. Okay, that was crazy. You can see somebody do something like someone that maybe takes food out of a garbage can and eats it. Is that crazy? Or are they hungry? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I am getting to the point of you really have to be careful. So I've said a lot. And again, I said I was going to jump around because this is just an energy check. I'm putting the questions out there. I'm asking because, again, why? Because it happened to me. So now I want to do what? I want to check my mouth. I'm going to find a different word. If something is crazy, it's just crazy. It could be, oh, they created a new amusement park ride, and you look at it and you say, that's crazy. Yeah, and so, I mean, I don't know who built it. I don't know why. I don't know what, but yeah, if you get on it, you might be a little weird if you think that that's something safe to do. But I don't know, maybe in that aspect, or, you know, when it comes to crime and punishment, I'm definitely not going to say crazy because most people know exactly what they're doing. Most people. Not all of them, but most people know exactly what they're doing. If you're hiding your face, if you're ducking cameras, if you got a mask on, bandana, Zorro, or mask, whatever kind of mask you got on. If you're hiding yourself, if you're trying to cloak your behavior in any way, you know exactly. I was about to say something real. You know exactly what the F you're doing. You know what you're doing. Yeah, you ducking and dodging cameras, and you hiding, and you know you got other people to come in and do something, and go over there and do this real quick, and then run back over here and tell them tell them what happened. Like, if you have planned and strategized and implemented people and strategically put people in places, and you put up cameras and surveillance and listening devices, and you infiltrated different situations to make stuff happen, manipulation, control, strategy, all of that is that's how courts decide. But if you say, I just woke up Monday morning and went and poured kerosene on something and just struck a match. I don't know why I did. You could possibly have, and again, I understand mental health. I do. I get it. A lot of people are under such tremendous human behavior. Just the stress of human behavior alone can be overwhelming to a lot of people, and they just feel like, I just want to check out, whether it's mentally, socially, or spiritually. They just want to check out. It's a lot. It's a lot to see people behave the way that they behave, and a lot of us still remain normal. Whatever normal is on this, it's hard to tell right now. It's really hard to tell. But whatever normal is supposed to be, because again, back in the Middle Ages or ancient times, or during the Salem witch trial, they thought that certain punishment was normal and certain behavior was crazy or heresy or whatever they wanted to call it back then. And if you keep doing this, we're going to set you free. You keep doing this and we're going to set you free. And so fast forward 20 days, present day, 2026, what's changed? What has changed? The punishment? Not a whole lot. You say, well, Donna, they don't use that, that spear, and then you open it up like an umbrella. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. That is crazy to me. You have to be that is insane. That's a whole nother show. Insanity is a whole nother show. That is like, who thinks of that? Like, I look at the and this isn't, well, I was going to say it's not for humans, but the bear trap. Who invented the bear trap? And I guess we wonder why bears are so angry, but the bear trap has been around for a long time. That is inhumane. But you say, well, it's not for a human. But I've seen it used in history, in retrospect, in literature. I've seen it used on humans. That's crazy. Chains and shackles and chains and neck chains were not meant for humans. But they were used. Again, if you picking up what I'm putting down, they were used on humans. Animal chains and harnesses and shackles and bridles and some other stuff were not meant for humans, but they were used on humans. Let's just keep it 100. I mean, let's just be real about it. So what are we labeling? What do we label as crazy? Is chemical abuse of certain substances? Is that crazy? A lot of people say no. We are a planet. In some form or fashion, even myself, we rely on a certain man-made chemical to help us deal with, medical issues, certain disorders. So we are relying less and less on our divine healing, less and less. And now is the time to be relying on that more and more. I'm just telling you what the Most High has given me as a spiritual being. My job right now, present day, at this exact time, is to let people know that your spiritual healing means more to you than anything else on this planet. Period. So that's why I do what I do in Crown. Even though people want me to STFU. They want me to STFU. But till the Most High has told me to do that, this is what I do, been doing. Before all this quote unquote crazy started happening to me. So let's talk about it. I wasn't going to, but let's just talk about, well, Donna, what's so crazy that's happening to you? Well, hundreds of thousands of individuals are going through what I'm going through. And just real simple, real quick, I'm not going to go deep into it, but most of the behavior is someone, let's just use another word that I hear a lot, snapped. And they are laser focused on your life. Why? Well, again, there could be a laundry list of things. They feel like you owe them something. You took something from them. You made them feel a certain way. Most people react to the way people make them feel. If you made somebody feel really bad about something, and it depends on what bad is. You could be, I feel bad because, and then I feel sorry, I want to apologize, or I feel bad and I'm going to do everything in my power to make something happen to this person. So it could go either way. Some people feel bad because, okay, I get why this person said what they said, or I get why. If you have that mental capacity, a lot of people don't. And I'm using words like most and a lot because you can't put everybody in the same category. Everybody's not the same. That would be weird. Everybody doesn't think the same. That would be weird. Everybody doesn't act the same. That would be weird. We would be robots. And now they have robots that don't even think the same. You talk to ChatGPT, shout out to ChatGPT, and you talk to other AI resources, sometimes a lot of the time, you're going to get different answers from different AI sources that you use. Can somebody please check it out and check me? I've seen it. So even that's not a perfect tool, a perfect behavior, a perfect scenario. It's not. So again, the individual I feel bad. Maybe I should tell this person, okay, this is what I did to make this happen. I get why you did what you did because this was happening in the background. Or I get why you said what you said because people were behaving this way around you to make you do this right here. Most people know that. Most people can do that. They get it. Look, you know what? Even if they didn't have anything to do with it, they'll look, so-and-so did this and they said that. When they came to me and said this, I said, look. And then we kind of decided, okay, this is what happened, and we get it now. We get why you behaved the way you behaved, or because somebody did this and said that and then labeled you as crazy, and then all of these people came after you. Okay, so this is the part of this particular part of the show that I'm doing where I get to explain to you how crazy can get someone seriously harmed. Because your tongue is a weapon, whether you want to believe it or not. Mine has gotten me in trouble a lot. Mostly because I speak the truth. Mostly because I speak the truth. The other part of it is because I speak when I should just STUF. Or STFU. Yeah, y'all know what I mean. And you got to know when to do that too. But A lot of the times, it was my mom popping me. You stay out of grown folks' business. Yep, I've been there. I know I ain't the only one, but y'all gonna act like I am. I get it. And then there are those times when, why, if you know the truth and you keep hearing certain things over and over again, why wouldn't you tell the truth? That to me is weird. It's not crazy. It's just weird. Like, you know the truth and you're not gonna tell it? You know the truth and people are constantly, like, not that you just popped up and started telling the truth, unless you got a podcast, but someone is constantly coming to you with a lie, but you know the truth and you don't say anything? Why? The same reason why these women were being unalived and set free back in the day during the Salem witch trials. Same thing. There are people who knew there's nothing wrong with this individual, but nobody said anything. There were probably, I don't know, let's just say it was a handful. In the whole village, there was a handful. Everyone, hopefully you guys can hear me. Had to pause for a second. I am back. So we were talking about the weaponization of calling someone crazy, right? So I'm going to try to close it out with this. So when you label or call someone crazy, a couple of things have to happen. First of all, someone has to believe you, right? Someone has to believe that the person that you're putting this label on is actually exhibiting quote unquote crazy or unusual, again, whatever usual is for you, behavior that could be labeled as, so what is this person doing? Are they talking to themselves? I was told that kind of, we see, people that are unhoused, they're saying don't say homeless anymore, it's unhoused. There are unhoused individuals on the street that do that, and there are, individuals who may be, again, experiencing some type of imbalance that talk to themselves, right? I do it. This is probably why I gotta have a radio show, because when I need to express myself, I do it. Now, in my particular case, as of 8, 10, 12, 15 years ago, I'm also being monitored and recorded. And I know that. They know I know it, and I know it. So I talk to my perpetrators. And again, as targeted individuals, I suggest you do it too. Because they are listening. They can hear what you say. And the way that just a quick side note, the way that you know it is that they will have people repeat something that you say. Just pay attention. They'll have people repeat something that you just said in the privacy of your own home. I've heard it all the time. I hear them all the time repeating, even if it's a song, they'll repeat it. They want you to know, we're listening to you. We can hear what you say. So, no, I'm not going to have anybody go through my house and look for microphones. For what? Really? I'm not going to have anybody go through my house and look for hidden cameras. For what? Yeah, nah. Well, during the holiday, they can see you. Yeah, I mentioned that in other posts. Like, enjoy the show. I don't, what are you looking for? I don't get it. But at the same time, that part. So, people will have to believe you. So that's the first thing. When I said a few things have to happen before this particular label actually becomes a harmful and dangerous, and sometimes, in a lot of cases, fatal confirmation thing that can happen. So is it just one or two people say, oh, this person is quote unquote crazy? Even if it's one person and the person that's accusing you of being this, they want someone to respond, right? Like, oh, first of all, have you, well, what's crazy? What are they doing? What makes you say that? What have they done that seems, crazy to you? How is it? Are they harming someone? Is something? So in order to make this dangerous, more dangerous, whatever falls under dangerous, all the way to fatal, part of them labeling you has to be that you are doing something that puts someone else in danger. Your behavior is putting someone else's life in danger. Well, that's funny, because labeling someone as crazy without proof is also putting someone's life in danger, right? They could, just say they're telling the authorities. This is something someone just, well, what do you mean, Dordana? Yeah, they just went to the local authorities and outright lied. Hey, this person, y'all need to keep an eye on them for no apparent reason other than the fact that they want to put you in harm's way. That puts, again, I can't make this up. There are plenty of news stories where local law enforcement shows up and somehow, based on a narrative that someone could have possibly lied about, people end up set free. I just say set free. Because if they're no longer in human form, they are set free, absolutely. So this could be, in a lot of cases, the situation. That someone, because they want something to happen to you. In my case, a lot of those someones are family members, which is weird. To me, that's crazy. To me, that's crazy. That someone will label you based on a lie. You have to know for sure that this person exhibits crazy behavior, or they indulge in crazy activity, or they have a history of doing crazy things to you. Because remember, it's perspective. What do we consider? Yeah, that's hard to do nowadays, in today's world, period. I was going to say society, across the globe, period. Unusual behavior seems to be the norm right now. I guess that's just the energy. That's what we're going through in the planet. That's what we're doing right now. I don't know. It depends on what side of the spectrum or what area of the spectrum you're on. You may be exhibiting more crazy behavior than someone else. I don't know. It could be, you could look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, that's just, you're doing too much. you need to check yourself. What's going on in your life right now? Yeah, check yourself before you let someone else check you. Check yourself. Look in the mirror and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is going on in your life right now that you have to be this person right now? Like, what's happening? Check yourself in the privacy of your own home if you're not being monitored or recorded. But check yourself in the privacy of your own home. Look yourself in the face in the mirror. Try that. If it's difficult to do, you might be the problem. You might just be the problem. It could be something seriously going on. Now, whether it's crazy or not, it could be serious. Because again, like I said, I take mental health very, very seriously because it could be dangerous. There are a lot of individuals, a lot. I don't know the numbers. Check it out. How many people do you think are locked away in facilities and labeled as mentally ill or mentally incapable in some way that is dangerous to society? That would be the only, to themselves or to society, that would be the only way that someone would get locked up locked away, which was what the quote unquote plan or the initial plan was for most targeted individuals. They want you to lose it so that what they told local authorities and family members and people that you might have dated or long ago, people you grew up with, and they want people to say, yeah, you know, when she went away, she lost her mind. And you come back and they see you out in the middle of the street screaming at somebody to stay out of your yard. They can use that. Record and say, see, we told you she was crazy. She do this all the time. Even though you probably only did it one time. How do they know? They want to get on record that you are doing something that exhibits dangerous behavior to have you under surveillance. That's one part of the crazy. What else needs to happen when you label someone as crazy? They have to get you to say something dangerous. Like you keep on I'm gonna go get my sidekick. They want you to say something. They want you to do something. I know the crazy behavior outside is, but they want to have something that they feel like they can say, I feel like my life is in danger because of this person. But they got to prove that. You have to give them the ammunition for that quote unquote crazy label to stick, right? That's the other thing. The third thing that needs to happen when you label someone crazy to make their narrative work is they want you to give up on yourself. And to me, that one is the most interesting to me because that's I'm just going to say that's a weak ass move. Their life ain't shit. So they want you to feel like your life ain't shit either. You got to give up on yourself. Got to. They got to do everything within their power. As a quote unquote gang, that's another label. As a gang, they need to all get together and say, you know what? We need to make her feel so bad. We need to make him feel so bad. We need to make this person feel so bad that they just want to check out on life. Right? They want to if we could block this and take that and do this and mess this up for them, come in and do this to them, send this person, follow around, make them paranoid, make them jumpy, make them just take this from them, stop that, steal this, put this there, take that there, move this there, go and destroy their relationships, destroy their family. Dude, I want to take this from them, make noise, follow them around, do whatever it is that they feel they need to do. They don't just need to do it. They have to do it to make their narrative work. They have to. So one of the ways that you can be labeled crazy and they can make it stick is if you give them the authority to do it. You give them all the power. You give them all of your power. Because that's what they want, but they can't get it unless you give it to them. That is the key. So that's where I'm going to kind of close this out, because you think, well, that's just one word. Yeah, that's just one word. Again, ignorance is involved. What is that word? Your superiority, self-consciousness, ignorance, inferiority. A lot of people have inferiority complexes. So confirmation, making someone else the scapegoat makes them feel better. When they can point the finger at someone else, that makes a narcissist or someone who has an inferiority complex or feels like you're threatening their position somehow. It makes them feel better to label you as crazy or dangerous, because they know if they can get something to happen to you, their life is better. To me, that's crazy. If I have to hunt someone down and label them, block them, and otherwise damage and sabotage their life in whatever way I see fit, that's crazy. That's insane. That's the only way. And there are a lot of people out there that can argue the point. Well, Donna, it happens all the time. People take stuff from people all the time. Absolutely. People, take people out, set them free for a lot less. That's true. That's true too. Hey, it's people over here now trying to, they lying on me to steal my job. Absolutely. It happens. People will, they use their children to get more money from the court. Absolutely. People will have a child just to get money from, I want some child support. That's true too. There are people out there that do it. Now, there are people out there that deserve it. Let me just be clear. There are women out there that can't get child support that deserve it. But there's the other side that do it out of spite. Come on, let's just be real again. Let's just be real about the whole situation. I'm not saying anything brilliant. You can spin around in a circle and throw a rock at a podcast that's talking about it right now. That ain't my lane. I don't have kids. But again, what is a sugar daddy? What is a sugar mama? Who made up those terms? Is it crazy or is it not crazy? Well, that's just a man that want to take care of a woman to get what he wants. That's true. That happens too. People are putting price tags on people and saying, hey, she's worth this much if you can get this done. Absolutely, that happens too. That's been happening since before time began. That's been going on for eons and eons, decades and decades of, I'm gonna put a price on his head, see, and first person taking mine is $500, see, right? That's been happening. It's been happening since the beginning of time. But now the planet is speaking. The Most High is speaking. The intelligence of the universe is speaking. Well, what is it saying, Dordana? It's saying enough is enough. Enough with the ignorance. There's no need for it. Enough with the lying. There's no need for it. Especially lying on individuals that don't deserve it. Enough of attacking innocent people. There's no need for it. Not in this new shift of the planet. There's no need for it. And you'll find out what I'm talking about very soon. You're going to see, it may not be in my lifetime, but you're going to see it. There's no need for it. It's more damaging and more detrimental to the planet to create false narratives on a planet that's going for authenticity. There's no place for false narratives, fake lies, ignorance, and otherwise damaging behavior in a planet that's shifting towards authenticity. That has nothing to do with me, Dordana, or Crown Knowledge Radio. That is the Most High. And that's the universe that's speaking. So if something in your behavior is telling you, I know I shouldn't do this. That first thought would be the Most High. But then you turn around and say, well, I'm going to do it anyway. That is not the Most High. So could both be true? Absolutely. You could know what's right and do what's wrong anyway. This is Dordana, and thank you for tuning in to Crown Knowledge Radio. I'll be back. I'll be back again with more on the shift of the planet, the energy checks. I'm bringing back Chop It Up, Chew It, and Spit It Out. And hopefully, I will be bringing back the God Rashad very soon. in the crown. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was sort of a long one, but I think it needed some attention. Just that particular emotional vibration that's coming in to the planet right now. Thank you again for rocking with me, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Peace and love.